How much of your life do you think has passed by already? Does this question sound absurd? Then let me put it this way. Suppose the span of your life, from birth to death, was 24 hours. Where do you think the hands of your clock of life are pointing at this moment? Blazing hot noon? If you are fresh out of college, could it be about 1 or 2 in the afternoon, when most people have finished lunch and are getting back to work? Instead of guessing, let's use a calculator to find the exact answer. Let's find the exact place and time where a 24-year-old, fresh out of college, is standing on the clock of life right now. If the life expectancy of an average Korean is about 80 years, how does the graduate's 24 years correspond to the hour on the clock of life whose full span is 80 years? It is 7:12 in the morning. It's 12 minutes past 7 in the morning. Do you find that unusually early? It's the time of the day when most people have just gotten out of bed and are getting ready for the day. Or, if you are not a morning person, you are still in bed. That's right. If you are a 24-year-old fresh out of college, you are only at 7:12 a.m. As an educator who has watched many youths growing and maturing into adulthood, I find the time, 7:12 a.m., to be a significant metaphor. A 24-year-old who has completed the journey from childhood through adolescence and has just arrived at the threshold that will move them onto adulthood as a member of society is almost equivalent to the time of day when most people are getting ready to go to work and leave the house. Well then, how about a 60-year-old who has just retired or expecting to enter their retirement? It's 6 in the evening, a time when most people wrap up their work, leave the office, and return home to enjoy the evening hours with their family. Don't you find that incredible? That's why I enjoy comparing the 80-year span of life to the 24-hour span of a clock. It is easy to calculate the hour on the clock of life. There are 1,440 minutes in 24 hours. And if you divide the minutes by 80, which is the number of years you expect to live, you get 18 minutes per year. You can find out the exact time on the clock of life once you understand that a year is equivalent to 18 minutes, and a decade is equivalent to 3 hours. Based on this method, 20 years of life is 6 o'clock, and 29 years is 8:42 in the morning. This is based on the assumption that you, as an average Korean, will live 80 years. If life expectancy continues to grow, you will have more years to stretch over the hours on your clock of life. Most people's reaction to the clock of life is a shock, because their hour is much earlier than they had expected. When I told one of my old school friends who had recently turned 50 that his time was only 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he counted on his fingers and exclaimed, "No kidding." When I talk about the time to young 24-year-old college students, soon to graduate, most of them say, "Only 7:12? And I thought I had lived quite a bit of life already." That's right. There's still a lot left ahead of you. Your day is not ruined just because you have been held back a little bit at 7 in the morning. If you want to throw up your hands and declare, "It's too late for me," you have a problem. And the problem is not the reality of passing time, but your own self. Do not see only despair or hopelessness for yourself. It's too early for that. There is still time for you to change something. Or everything.